I'm trying to say is grab that opportunity. Go and learn, make new friends, make new connections. Every successful and happy person that I know is a generous person. Do you really, really need it? If you want to buy something, sit on it for 24 hours. What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Adulting with Joyce Pring. If you haven't already, please do like, subscribe, and follow this podcast show. You can do so on Spotify, and if you're watching through YouTube, subscribe to the channel. All right, welcome back to Adulting 101, a series here on the show which we've been doing specifically dedicated to all of our Gen Z and young listeners here on the podcast. We saw in our stats that a lot of you guys are young listeners, newcomers here on the show, and I wanted to create a series that specifically helps younger people. You know, when I started the podcast, I was 25 years old. So talagang nag-umpisa siya as like a diary of my own journey in understanding like the things that I wanted to stop doing in my 20s, or how to handle heartbreak, or how to deal with my work, or how to figure out all of these things that are just related to adulting. So I wanted to redo some of the episodes that I did 7 years ago when this podcast started to now in 2025 that will still be relatable and helpful, especially to younger people like yourselves. Or if you are a longtime listener here on the podcast, I feel like we always need the refresher course anyway. So that's precisely what we're going to do today. So the first episode of Adulting 101, we did a topic on communication, how to properly communicate, or how to be a better communicator, not only professionally, but also socially in your personal relationships. Paano ka nga ba makikipag-relate sa mga tao? How can people understand you better? How can you present yourself in a way that's both warm and competent? For this episode, I wanted to do a conversation on finances, or specifically how you can what are the money moves that I did in my 20s that I feel like could also help you? To give you a brief background, I didn't really come from a family that's well off financially. You know, I didn't grow up having allowance or having a budget to start my own business. I literally had to learn every good thing about money from books, from mentors, and from my own experiences. And these are just 5 easy ideas that maybe you can apply in your own life, especially if you are a young professional. Maybe you're in your early 20s or even in your late teens. You're starting out maybe a side hustle. Maybe you're studying while you're working, or you are at your first job and you're having this stream of income. You're having this amount of money that's coming to your bank account every month, and hindi mo alam kung paano siya i-manage. This episode is for you. So I wanted to start it off with a verse that I feel like could be a blessing to all of us as we navigate this conversation. It's from Proverbs chapter 21, verse 5, which says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." So what does that verse actually mean, and how does it relate to our topic for today? You know, when you're diligent, you have to think about the plans that you will be applying in your life. Because if you are just hasty, you just do whatever it is that you want with your money, that eventually leads to poverty, according to this verse, right? How can we apply it to this specific topic that we're going to be talking about? It doesn't matter if you're earning 5,000 pesos or 5 million pesos. If you don't know how to plan or budget well, hindi magfa-flourish yung finances mo. And I really truly believe that coming from a family that really didn't have much growing up to now having built a more stable, a more, I would say, blessed financial status in my life, it's really because of God's grace, all of the opportunities that I seized, and the planning that I did in my early 20s that I am now reaping the benefits of now that I'm 32. So the first tip that I wanted to share with you is to pay yourself first. What does this mean? You treat savings or investment as a non-negotiable bill. This changed my entire financial landscape when I started applying this in my own life. So Akala ko kasi dati, ang savings, isi-save mo kung ano yung matitira after mong mamili ng mga kailangan mo sa buhay, 'di ba? So, after kong mabayaran yung electric bills, after kong mabili yung groceries, after ko gawin lahat ng mga bagay na yan, whatever money is naiiwan, yun yung isi-save ko. Now, what I did instead, nung nabasa ko 'to sa I forgot which book I read it from, but I read it from a book. And what it said was pay yourself first. So, by pay yourself first, you set aside 20% of your income and put that into your savings account. Now, it could be 10%, it could be 5%, it could be a lower amount of money that you set aside, but yun ang ipa-prioritize mo. Do not buy anything first, do not don't buy your groceries, whatever, pay your bills first. Unahin mo yung, okay, I'm gonna set aside 5% of whatever money I'm making this month, and that's going straight to my savings account. Why? Because that will teach your brain and that will teach you as a person to prioritize saving money, to prioritize, okay, hindi mapupunta lahat ng pera ko sa pagkain, sa gastusin, ipa-prioritize ko muna yung savings ko. So, pay yourself first because no matter how small that is, even if it's just 500 or 1,000 pesos per month, at the end of the year, meron ka pa rin matatabing 12,000 pesos. Wow, right? Saan mo mapupulot yun? Maglakad ka from QC hanggang Antipolo, wala kang mapupulot na 12,000 pesos. But that will just accumulate over time. So, what if meron pang more, 'di ba? So what if you make more money at hindi lang 1,000 yung masasave mo per month? You can make even 5,000 pesos per month. If you save that in the course of a year, ang dami mo nang masasave na money nang hindi mo napapansin kasi yun yung una mong gagawin. Okay, so under this principle also, meron kasi akong system that I've created for my finances even when I was in my 20s that really helped me shape the way that I handle money now that I'm in my 30s. So yun, yung una, di ba, yung pay yourself first. Under pay yourself first are the non-negotiables that I pay first before I spend any of my money. So yun. 20% goes into my savings account. 10% goes into my tithing. So diretso na yun sa church that I'm attending, the community that I'm a part of. And listen, I know that some of you guys are not Christians and maybe this is not a principle that you truly believe in. But if you're not a Christian, even the concept of tithing could be very helpful for you because it teaches you that generosity is a beautiful, wonderful, and empowering thing. Every successful and happy person that I know is a generous person. They're generous with their money, they're generous with their resources, they're generous with their knowledge because generosity is just a beautiful thing that not only helps other people, but it also helps you as a person. So practice that kind of generosity even if you don't have a lot of money. I'll tell you a true story that happened to me when I started sponsoring a child through World Vision Philippines. Nung time na yon, 650 pesos per month yung sponsorship ng mga bata. And it was my first year of working or parang siguro hindi naman pala first year. Siguro mga second or third year of working. Pero first year of stability na siya for my work. Recently, if you saw it on my Instagram, I got an award for being a 10-year sponsor of children. So, I'm 32 now. That means 22 pa lang ako, nagsisponsor na ako ng mga bata. And the first time that I sponsored a child, lulang-lula na ako sa 650 pesos. Yun. Parang, what do you mean? 650? Oh my goodness, kaya ko ba yun? 650 every month? Kaya ko ba yun? But by God's grace, kaya siya. Kasi when you prioritize yun nga saving, investing, and also generosity, giving a part of your earnings back to the Lord, whether that's through church tithing or sponsoring a child, talagang binibless ni God yung work natin. I'm not saying na we do these things, we become generous so that God will bless us more. No. I'm saying that if God is blessing you even through a small amount of money, make sure that you're giving a little bit of that back to whoever may need it the most. So that's the first principle that I wanted to share with you. And it's a principle that I've lived by that has been a blessing for me. never pa ako nagkulang, and if anything, God has just expanded the plate that He's given me. Another biblical principle that we can apply to this is, if you can be trusted with little, then you can be trusted with much, right? So be trusted well with the little that you have. Be a good steward of what little you have. Because if you keep saying to yourself na, hindi, magbibigay na lang ako, magtatabi na lang ako, magsisave na lang ako, magiging generous na lang ako, pag marami na akong pera, maybe that time will never come. You know? So, practice as early as now, na habang maliit pa yung sweldo mo, habang part-time pa lang yung work mo, habang bagong empleyado ka pa lang, bagong business owner ka pa lang, practice these principles already so that if and when God blesses you with more, you've already established those practices, those habits, those characteristics that will really help you in the long run. Okay, tip number 2, increase your income streams. Don't rely solely in your main job, but explore side hustles or freelance work. Again, I'm going to tell you about my own stories because that's all I can really relate to at this point about everything that I tried. What does this look like in day-to-day life? It means be madiskarte, in the sense of looking at every working opportunity as an opportunity for growth and as an opportunity to make money. I always tell to my young friends, and even to, yan, sila Kiara, laging nasa-shoutout si Kiara dito, na ko sinasabi na work is supposed to do either one of two things. One, it's supposed to make you money, or two, it's supposed to give you network opportunity and a learning ability, right? So, I always say na even if yung trabaho na papasukan ko, nung time na yun when I was starting out, even if it doesn't earn me as much money as I needed or as I wanted, and sometimes even if it were for free, I would do the gig if I knew that it was going to help me connect and network with the right people or help me grow and learn. If, for example, you're working as a VA on the side, diba? Tapos nagkaroon ka ng opportunity na, kailangan ko ng freelancer for this event. Gusto mo bang mag-freelance? 500 lang yung bayad per day, or I don't know what the going rate is for now. What I'm trying to say is, grab that opportunity. Go and learn. Make new friends. Make new connections. I tried everything that I possibly could, not only to make money, to increase my sources of income, but at the same time to increase my network and my net worth in the process. Another thing that you can think about is if you have, let's say, multiple sources of income. Ang ginagawa ko nung time na yon, okay, yung income ko from TV, lahat yan diretso sa savings. Yung income ko from radio, dahil fix yon every month, lahat yan diretso sa pambayad ng whatever. Yung income ko from live events where, it changes. Minsan, 10 in 1 week. Minsan, isa lang in 1 week. Lahat yan mapupunta sa investment. So, you can assign whatever money you're making from your multiple streams of income, whether that's through stocks, investments, doing VA, freelance work, painting, whatever it is. You can assign that to whatever you want to save up for, invest on, or spend on. I realize now na even yung mga maliliit na bagay, like I would freelance as a writer for magazines during that time. Nasa radio and TV na ako nito ha. I would freelance as a painter. I would commission some of my work for certain projects. Everything and anything that I could try, I did that because it is so important to try everything when you're in your 20s, explore everything, learn everything that you could, and just grab those opportunities. So that's I feel like that's self-explanatory. It's really that. Increase your streams of income, not only for the money, but also for the network and the opportunities. Number 3. Live below your means. Nako! As somebody who has been working in showbiz for more than a decade, in this media industry for more than a decade, I feel like I can humbly and honestly say na grabe yung temptation to live a grandiose lifestyle because people are constantly watching. And to be honest with you, I've been tempted many, many times to spend money that I did have, but only for the sake of impressing people that I didn't even know or I didn't even like. And I've realized that part of growing up and adulting is knowing that living below your means is actually a big flex. It's a bigger flex than looking rich or acting rich. Why? Because the wealthiest and most fulfilled people I know aren't trying to tell others how wealthy or fulfilled they are. And that's really what we want to become, right? We want to build wealth. We want to live quiet but joyful, fulfilled lives. We want to, okay, if you want to, reward yourself every so often by buying things that you can afford, that won't break the bank, then sure, go ahead and do that. I've talked about this principle many times on the podcast, but I'll reiterate it again. A friend of mine taught me this. She said that she never buys anything that she cannot afford three times over. Meaning, if I'm going to buy a brand new phone that's worth, let's say, 90,000 pesos, she won't buy this 90,000 pesos, even if she has 90,000 pesos in the bank. She will only buy it when she has 270,000 pesos in the bank. Why? Because buying one thing should not cover, should not finish all the money that you have in your bank. So when she said that to me, I was like, that's actually genius. I will never buy anything again that I can't buy three times over in a bank. So whether three times over with the money that I have in my bank. So whether it's a new camera, a new car, or well, syempre may nuance yun, di ba? Yung bahay. Hindi ko naman kayang bumili ng three times over ng bahay na yun. But those are investments that could eventually grow, right? But things, don't spend money unless you have twice or thrice the amount of that money saved up in your bank or in your net worth. And that's a simple trick, right? It's a very simple trick. It's not complicated. Like you can think about it like, okay, bibili ako ng bagong cortina or bibili ako ng bagong makeup. Kaya ko bang bumili ng 3 nito? Or pag maliliit na bagay, kaya ko bang bumili ng 10 nito nang hindi mahihirapan yung bangko ko? It's a rule that I see. Alam mo kung bakit kailangan kong pag-isipan to at lagi ko pa rin siyang ina-apply? Because even the richest people, the wealthiest people I know, apply this rule in their lives. Kung sila na mayaman, ako hindi naman stable lang kami, di ba? Kung sila na mayaman, ganun sila mamuhay, dapat ako rin ganun. So, live below your means. Spend less than what you earn to create consistent surplus for your savings and your investment. And living below your means also means that you're prioritizing the more important things. Like, if you have debt, bayaran mo muna lahat ng utang na meron ka. If you have, dreams of buying a house or of investing in property, prioritize saving up for that. If you don't have insurance, prioritize saving up for your insurance or having an emergency fund. Live below your means so that you can play the long game. That's really it, right? Living below your means, that means playing the long game. That means not looking rich now, but actually becoming wealthy 5 or 10 years in the future kasi you live below your means right now. And that's what you're supposed to do in your 20s. Every girl has a dream: to go to school, to be heard, to grow up free from fear. But for many Filipino girls, these dreams are out of reach. They face the harsh realities of early marriage, dropping out of school, and being silenced by poverty and inequality. But it doesn't have to stay this way. With your support, a girl can find her voice and speak up. She can learn, she can lead and rise, strong and fearless. She can say no to the things that hold her back and yes to the life that she truly deserves. We ask you to please join the movement to raise your voice for a girl and walk alongside her on her journey to empowerment. Sponsor a girl by October 11, International Day of the Girl, and be the reason she says, yes, I can, because girls can. Visit worldvision.org.ph to learn more. Fourth tip for you is to master your spending. Intentional spending, which means spending on what matters and cutting out anything else that doesn't really matter for you. So the first principle that you can think about is the 50-30-20 rule. What does that look like? 50% goes into your needs, whether that's your mortgage, food, shelter, bills, etc., etc. just accept that 50% of whatever you're making is going straight to that. The 30% is like the up there money. Up there money meaning yan yung pambili mo ng mga gusto mo, pang trip mo, pang reward mo konti sa sarili mo. That could be your generosity money, that's your tithing. That's the 30% of the rest of your money. And then the 20%, of course, is, as I've mentioned earlier, something that you set aside initially before you spend any of this money for your savings, for your future self. Number two, tracking your expenses for 30 days. Tingnan mo, how much money are you really spending per week for per month, right? So, ako na-realize ko siya na, okay, pag trinak ko pala yung spending ko for 30 days, ang sakit niya. Ang sakit niya. Pero hindi mo siya mapapansin kasi pag everyday lang, 'di ba, parang okay, bibili ako ng coffee or kakain ako sa labas. Kaya maliit lang siya tignan eh. Let's say, kakain ako sa labas, 1,500 siya aabutin. It's just 1,500. Like, I deserve this. Tapos 3 beses ko para siya ginawa per week. Tapos pag tinignan ko siya, kung 4 weeks ko ginawa yun, it's so expensive. Biglang boom, 30,000 na pala yung ginastos mo just by eating outside. So I'm not saying that you're like that, but what I'm trying to say is, when you have a macro perspective on your spending, it's easier for you to make adjustments and to understand, okay, am I actually spending my money well, or am I just wasting it all on unnecessary stuff? Third and finally, the 24-hour rule. Before you want to buy anything that's not necessarily something that you need, or even if it's something that you need, right? Like, do you really, really need it? If you want to buy something, sit on it for 24 hours. Na-realize ko na sa Pilipinas, ang bilis mong gumastos kasi wala tayong ibang papasyalan kung hindi malls. Tama, mali? Pag weekend, mall tayo. Ang church mo, nasa mall din. Pag mainit, mall tayo. Pag umuulan, sa mall tayo. Lagi, di ba? And I'm thankful for malls. I love malls, and I'm grateful that malls are now putting more effort into adding greenery and open spaces and, places to hang out here in the Philippines. But in general, kapag hindi ka aware doon, bili ka ng bili ng mga bagay na hindi mo naman kailangan, like, bili ako ng ganito. Or even, ang dali, di ba? Kasi online shopping, like, you can just keep buying stuff online. Anytime I want to buy something, I take a mental note of that thing. So if it's online, I'll add it to my cart. Tapos pag-iisipan ko muna siyang 24 hours. Like, alam ni Kiara to. Totoo to, Kiara hindi. Totoo, di ba? Kahit yung bag as in, gustong-gusto ko na siyang bilhin. May pera naman ako. To be fair, di ba? Meron naman akong pera. Nabilang ko nga si Kiara ng gusto kong bag eh. Kasi yun yung gift ko sa kanya. Gusto ko rin nun. Pero ilang weeks ko na siyang pinag-iisipan na. Tapos pinuntahan ko siya ulit the other day nang nasa MOA kami. Tapos tinitingnan ko siya, sinusuot ko siya, kailangan ko ba talaga nito? At hindi naman sa pinagdadamot ko siya sa sarili ko, di ba? But because I want to live below my means and I want to sit on it before I buy anything. So, yun, if I want something, I add it to my cart, I think about it. If I want something, I look at it, bibisitahin ko yung store, tapos sabihin ko, okay, sige. Minsan pinapareserve ko pa siya. Sige po, pa-reserve po hanggang bukas lang, di ba? And then I think about it and I pray about it. Why? Because every decision that we make is a spiritual decision. Whether you believe that or not, it is. It is a decision that will alter your brain chemistry. It's a decision that will, somehow add up to the character that you're trying to build for yourself or that God is trying to build for you. It's a decision that will eventually affect you. And of course, one could make the argument na hindi naman pag bumili ako ng candy, di ba? Hindi naman yun ganun ka big deal. Well, if you keep buying candy and keep eating sweet stuff without even thinking about it, biglang, how does that affect your health, right? So, all of the decisions that we make, every financial decision that you make, is also a spiritual decision. So, think of it that way. That's why the 24-hour rule, ako minsan, excessive na, di ba? Minsan 48 or minsan months and months na I didn't even realize it's been 6 months or 1 year since the last time that I went shopping just for fun and not for work or something that's really needed in my household. So, master your spending, because the way that we spend our money can also be a form of worship unto the Lord. So if we're becoming good stewards, it's worship towards God. If we are not taking care of the money and the talent, the time and the treasures that God is giving us, then we're not becoming good stewards. And I'm not saying this na perfect ko na siya or talagang nagagawa ko siya every single time. No, I still struggle with it. It's still a learning process for me. It's still something that I have to practice and remind myself of. But these are reminders that I keep telling myself. I keep reminding myself of these things kasi important talaga siya. And however you spend your money, however you spend the time, the talent, the treasures that God has given you will also affect and overflow to the people in the community that are around you. So think of it that way. Fifth, I guess just as a support to all of the 4 points that I talked about kanina, to use your credit card strategically or to use your loans and all of these other financial ways strategically. Why? Um, a lot. Okay, I'll tell you my story. One of the things that has happened to me nung early 20s ako is, ang bangko kasi ganyan, di ba? They will offer you a credit card, especially if they see that meron kang savings, meron kang capability to pay for a credit card. Or minsan, you can just apply for it, di ba? And ang napansin ko when I was starting out and hindi pa ako ganun ka well-versed at hindi ko pa ganun ka na-master yung spending ko, bili lang ako ng bili. Kasi pag binigyan ka nila ng magandang limit, in your head, like, oh, meron akong 50,000 ngayon. Pero credit card lang siya, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, wala ka pa ng 50,000 na yun. Now you have to find out. Now you have to figure out how to make 50,000 to pay for the 50,000 that you spend. I love credit cards because I do believe that they have a lot of benefit. One, it could grow your credit score in your bank, meaning if the bank can see that you do have, you borrow money and then you pay for it at wala kang problema doon, it's more likely that you can apply for bigger loans and better loans when you're in your late 20s or in your 30s, right? But a simple rule that I've applied for myself after learning the hard way that credit card spending could be so difficult, especially if you don't know how to control your spending, is every time I use my credit card, I ask myself, can I pay for this in full? So if I'm going to buy, let's say, a bag through my credit card, I always ask myself, do I have this exact amount in my bank account right now to pay for this credit card? So every month when that credit card bill comes, I pay for it in full. Kung magkano, as in to the T, kung magkano man yan, to the centavo, I pay for it in full so that you can get the benefits of it, which are good credit scores and the points for your credit card and etc. Whatever it is, right? Whatever benefit you want from your credit card, while at the same time, not piling up debt for yourself. So, ganun ko siya ginagamit. Or, maganda rin na isang principle na binigay sa akin ng a friend of mine. She said na, if you're gonna borrow money from the bank, make sure that you already have a plan on how to pay for it. Banks and credit cards and loans and all of these things could be very helpful for you, but you have to be wise about how to use them. Just because there's an app that's offering loans, just because a bank is offering loans, just because somebody is offering a credit card, that doesn't mean that you have to get it kaagad. You figure out, how can I maximize this and how can I use this without acquiring bad debt for myself? So if somebody offers you a credit card, I've posted about, having a credit card here on the podcast. If you see that, ask yourself, okay, what's the safest limit on my credit card that I can do? And whenever I use it, can I pay for it in full? Ask yourself that question, right? So it's the same. Just master those, not just in your spending, but master the other resources that are available to you, because just because they're a resource doesn't mean that you have to grab that opportunity kagad. You have to figure out the way to best use it for yourself, for your lifestyle, and for the goals that you have in your life. Final bonus. Audit your financial circle, meaning surround yourself with friends and mentors who have healthy money habits. Absolutely love this tip because this is a tip that has helped me, that has shaped me as a person. Another friend of mine, sabi niya, Joyce, ang mga artista or ang mga showbiz personalities or mga creatives katulad mo, kailangan mo ng 3 klase ng trabaho. The first one, trabaho na nagme-make ka ng money. Kahit ano pa yan, kahit sa tingin mo, hindi siya cool, hindi siya whatever, pero kailangan mo gumawa ng pera. So be realistic. Accept work that will make you money. Pangalawa, accept work that will fulfill your creative desire. So dahil creative ka, gumawa ka ng work that you're passionate about that may not make you money, but you're passionate about it. And because meron ka na ng first work that makes you money, you now have the confidence to do that. Pangatlo, create work or accept work that will give you validation from your peers and from your contemporaries. Meaning, accept projects that you feel like empowers you as a person, not only as a passionate thing, but something that your peers or your contemporaries or even your bosses will eventually appreciate you for. So these are things that I will not have learned if not for these people that I've had in my life. They were friends, mentors, business people that I just look up to. And I always say na you always have to put yourself in rooms where you're not the smartest person. And I guarantee you, I have been in many rooms where I was the dumbest person there. And that's when I knew that I was in the right room. Because all of those people that I surrounded myself with, that I drew closer to, taught me something. I was humble, I listened, I followed the instructions and the advice that I felt like were useful and that were helpful. And then the rest is just fluff. If there were some things, values that I didn't really agree with them on, I respected that. I respected their own perspectives, their own values, but the ones that I could learn from and benefit from, I absorbed for myself. And it's just been very helpful. So it's good that you're watching this podcast episode. Watch other podcast episodes. Listen to people who have really made well for themselves, not just financially. Wealth is a great thing, but what you really need to grow is a wealth of experience, a growth in your character, a wealth of systems and habits that will help you become a better person. Remember that money is not an evil thing. The more money that you have, the more opportunities you have to bless other people and to help other people. So if you are thinking about acquiring a lot of money, saving up a lot of money, investing a lot of money, always remember the first principle that we talked about kanina, which is generosity. Why do we make money? Why does God bless us? Not so that we can spend it all on ourselves or what we want, but so that we can also be channels of blessings for those who are around us. So I hope that this episode resonated with you and it's something that really helps you. If it does, please do let me know in the comment section below. And if you have other topics that you'd like me to discuss here on our series of Adulting 101, leave it in the comment section below and I'll see you on the next one.